There is a secret hidden in plain sight. A truth so profound that when Marcus Aurelius discovered it, his entire world shifted. He learned that the fastest way to possess something is to stop needing it, to pretend you already have it, not as an illusion, but as a doorway into reality itself. Stay here for the next 50 minutes, and I will show you how this ancient practice will completely transform your life. Imagine waking up tomorrow and feeling complete, not because anything changed, not because you finally got what you've been chasing, but because you learned to embody the state of already having it. This is not positive thinking. This is not manifestation. This is something far deeper, far older, and far more powerful. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who commanded legions yet sat alone at night writing to himself, understood a paradox that most people never grasp. The more desperately you chase something, the more it eludes you. But the moment you carry yourself as though you already possess it, reality begins to bend toward you. Not through magic, through transformation of the self. What you're about to experience is not just information, it's an initiation into a way of being that will dissolve your anxiety, quiet your desperation, and give you access to a kind of power that cannot be taken away, because it comes from within, and it has been waiting inside you all along. If you've been searching for peace, for confidence, for love, for purpose, and you're tired of coming up empty, then what you're about to hear will change everything. Not in some distant future. Right now, in this moment, as you listen. Before we begin this journey together, I want to invite you to do something. If what you hear today moves you, if it shifts something inside, please subscribe to this channel, leave a like, and share this with someone who's still searching. Your support helps this message reach those who need it most. And your comment below might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Now, let's step into the teachings. Let's begin where most people live. In the space of longing. You know this space well. It's the hollow feeling in your chest when you see others living the life you want. It's the voice in your head that says you're falling behind. It's the endless scroll through other people's happiness while yours feels just out of reach. It's the exhaustion of wanting, reaching, trying, and still feeling like you're coming up short. This is the human condition. We are designed to desire. Evolution wired us to always want more, to never be satisfied because our ancestors who felt content didn't survive. They didn't hunt for the next meal. They didn't seek better shelter. They didn't protect themselves from danger. So we inherited this restlessness, this perpetual sense that something is missing, and we've spent our entire lives trying to fill that void from the outside. But here's what nobody tells you. That void cannot be filled from the outside, because it's not actually empty. It's full. Full of fear. Full of false beliefs. Full of stories you've been telling yourself about who you are and what you need to be okay. Marcus Aurelius sat in his tent during the Marcomannic Wars, surrounded by death, chaos, and the weight of an empire on his shoulders, and he wrote these words to himself. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Think about that. He wasn't afraid of dying. He was afraid of waking up one day and realizing he had never truly lived, that he had spent his entire existence chasing ghosts. And what are these ghosts? The approval of others, the perfect body, the perfect relationship, the perfect career, the perfect life. We chase these things believing that once we have them, we'll finally be able to exhale. We'll finally be able to say, I made it, I'm enough now. But it's a lie, because the goalpost always moves. You get the promotion and suddenly you need the next one. You get into the relationship and suddenly you're worried about losing it. You achieve the goal, and suddenly it doesn't feel like you thought it would. The mind always finds a new lack, a new deficiency, a new reason why you're still not there yet. This is the trap of external validation, and most people spend their entire lives caught in it, never realizing there's a way out. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really feel into this question. What if the thing you're chasing isn't actually what you want? What if what you really want is the feeling you believe that thing will give you? The peace, the confidence, the sense of being enough. And what if you could have that feeling right now without changing a single thing about your external circumstances? This is where Marcus Aurelius invites us to pause, to stop running, to turn inward. Because the chase itself is what's creating the suffering, not the lack of the thing, but the belief that you need it to be okay. I want to tell you a story. There was a merchant in ancient times who spent his entire life accumulating wealth. He traveled across deserts, crossed dangerous seas, sacrificed relationships, his health, his peace of mind, all in pursuit of one more coin. And then one day, sitting in his mansion surrounded by gold, he felt nothing, just emptiness. He had everything he thought he wanted, but he had lost himself in the process. He went to a philosopher and asked, "How do I find happiness?" And the philosopher said, "Go home, sit in silence, and ask yourself what you would feel if you already had everything you needed." The merchant was confused. "But I do have everything," he said. The philosopher smiled. "No, you have everything you thought you needed, but you don't feel it, because you never learned how to receive. You only learned how to grasp." This is the difference. Grasping versus receiving. Most of us are grasping, white-knuckling our way through life, trying to force outcomes, trying to control people, trying to make reality conform to our expectations. And in that grasping we create tension, anxiety, and suffering. But what if you could learn to receive, to open your hands, to trust that you are already held, already supported, already enough? This is what Marcus Aurelius discovered, and it changed everything. He wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Your life is not determined by what you have or don't have. It's determined by the story you tell yourself about what you have or don't have. And that story can change in an instant. Right here. Right now. So I'm going to ask you to try something, just for a moment. Think of something you've been desperately wanting. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's success. Maybe it's peace of mind. Now, instead of thinking about how to get it, imagine you already have it. Feel it in your body. What does it feel like? Where do you feel it? In your chest? In your breath? In your posture? Notice how just imagining it shifts something. That shift is real. That shift is available to you at any moment, not as a fantasy, but as a practice. A way of training your nervous system to operate from abundance instead of scarcity, from wholeness instead of lack. This is where the transformation begins, not out there, but in here, in the quiet space between your thoughts, in the place where you get to choose how you relate to your own experience. Now let's go deeper into the psychology of why this works. When you live in a state of longing, your nervous system is constantly activated. You're in fight or flight. Your body believes there's a threat. And that threat is the absence of the thing you want. So your entire system organizes around acquiring it. Your thoughts become obsessive. Your emotions become reactive. Your behavior becomes desperate. And here's the cruel irony. Desperation repels exactly what you're seeking. If you're desperate for love, you become needy and people sense it. If you're desperate for success, you become rigid and opportunities slip away. If you're desperate for peace, you become controlling and chaos multiplies. Desperation creates the very conditions that keep you stuck. But when you pretend you already have what you seek, something extraordinary happens. Your nervous system relaxes. Your body believes the threat has passed. You drop out of survival mode and into a state of presence. And from that state you begin to think, feel, and act differently. You become magnetic instead of repellent, open instead of closed, creative instead of reactive. The Stoics understood this intuitively. They didn't have modern neuroscience, but they understood human nature. They understood that suffering is not caused by external circumstances, but by our attachment to external circumstances. And they developed practices to loosen that attachment. One of the most powerful metaphors Marcus Aurelius used was the metaphor of the actor. He said, "Life is like a play. You've been given a role. Maybe it's a short role. Maybe it's a long role. Maybe it's a role of wealth or poverty, health or sickness, praise or criticism. Your job is not to control which role you're given. Your job is to play it well. Think about what that means. An actor doesn't become the character. They embody the character. They step into the role fully, but they don't lose themselves in it. They know underneath who they really are. And when the play ends, they take off the costume and go home. Most people do the opposite. They become so identified with their role, their job, their relationships, their achievements, their failures, that they forget who they are underneath. They lose themselves in the play, and when the role changes, as it inevitably does, they fall apart. But what if you could hold your life lightly? What if you could fully engage without fully attaching? What if you could want things without needing them? This is the art of pretending you already have it. You engage as if it's already yours, but you don't collapse if it's not. Let me give you another metaphor. Imagine you're holding a bird in your hand. If you squeeze too tightly, you'll crush it. If you hold too loosely, it will fly away. But if you hold it gently, with just enough support, it will rest in your palm. This is how you must hold your desires, not too tightly, not too loosely, but with gentle awareness. Psychologically, what you're doing is creating what's called cognitive reframing. You're changing the frame through which you see your situation. Instead of, I don't have this and I need it, you shift to, I am already whole, and this would be a beautiful addition. Can you feel the difference? The first frame creates tension. The second creates space. And here's what's fascinating. Reality responds to the energy you bring to it. Not in some mystical sense, but in a very practical sense. When you show up desperate, people feel it and pull away. When you show up whole, people feel it and move closer. When you make decisions from fear, you create outcomes that reinforce fear. When you make decisions from trust, you create outcomes that reinforce trust. This is what the ancient philosophers meant by, virtue is its own reward. It's not about being good so you can get something. It's about recognizing that the state of being you cultivate becomes the reality you experience. Marcus Aurelius faced unimaginable challenges: plague, war, betrayal, the death of children. He had every reason to despair. And yet, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." He learned to transform obstacles into opportunities, not by pretending they weren't there, but by changing his relationship to them. He didn't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" He asked, "What is this teaching me? How is this shaping me? What strength is this revealing in me that I didn't know I had?" And in that shift of question, everything changed. So here's the practice. Start noticing the questions you ask yourself. Are they questions of victimhood or questions of empowerment? Are they questions of lack or questions of possibility? Because the quality of your questions determines the quality of your life. When you ask, "Why don't I have this yet?" you reinforce lack. When you ask, "What would it feel like to already have this?" you open to possibility. When you ask, "What's wrong with me?" you create shame. When you ask, "What's trying to emerge through me?" you create growth. This is the psychological shift that changes everything, and it's available to you right now, not as theory, but as practice. So let's get practical. How do you actually embody this? How do you move from intellectual understanding to lived experience? First, you have to understand that transformation happens in the body, not just the mind. You can think positive thoughts all day, but if your body is still holding the pattern of scarcity, nothing will change. So we have to work with the body. Start by noticing your physical state right now. Are your shoulders tense? Is your jaw clenched? Is your breath shallow? These are signs that your nervous system is in protection mode. You're bracing against life. And when you're bracing, you're not open. You're not receptive. So the first practice is simple. Soften. Let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. Take a deep breath, all the way down into your belly. And as you exhale, imagine releasing all the tension, all the grasping, all the trying. Just for this moment, let it go. Now bring to mind something you deeply desire. Don't push it away. Don't judge yourself for wanting it. Just acknowledge it. I want this. Good. Now ask yourself, if I already had this, how would I feel in my body right now? Maybe you'd feel lighter. Maybe you'd feel taller. Maybe you'd feel more relaxed. Whatever it is, allow yourself to feel it. Not as a fantasy, but as an experiment. What if you could access this feeling right now, without the external validation? This is not about pretending your problems don't exist. It's about accessing a state of being that's already available to you, underneath the noise of your mind. Because the truth is, the feeling you're chasing has nothing to do with the external thing. The external thing is just a symbol. What you really want is to feel safe, loved, worthy, enough. And those feelings are inside you right now, waiting to be remembered. Let me tell you about a woman I once knew. She spent years chasing the perfect relationship. Every time she met someone, she would immediately project onto them all her hopes, all her fears, all her needs. And of course, the relationships would fail, because she wasn't showing up as herself. She was showing up as her lack. One day, after yet another heartbreak, she decided to try something different. She decided to pretend she was already in the perfect relationship, not with any specific person, but with life itself. She started treating herself the way she wanted a partner to treat her. She started speaking to herself with kindness. She started taking herself on dates. She started honoring her needs without apology. And something miraculous happened. She fell in love with herself. And from that place of self-love, she stopped needing someone else to complete her. She became complete on her own. And then, naturally, effortlessly, she attracted a partner who matched that vibration. Not because she manifested them, but because she had become the kind of person who was ready for that kind of love. This is the power of internal transformation. You stop waiting for the outside world to change. You change yourself, and the outside world responds. So here's your practice. For the next 7 days, choose one area of your life where you feel lack. Maybe it's money, maybe it's love, maybe it's health, maybe it's purpose. And every morning, before you do anything else, sit for 5 minutes and imagine you already have what you're seeking. Don't just think about it. Feel it. Where do you feel it in your body? What does your posture do? What does your breath do? How do you hold yourself differently? And then, as you move through your day, keep returning to that feeling, not as an escape from reality, but as an anchor into a deeper reality. When you catch yourself slipping back into lack, into worry, into grasping, don't judge yourself. Just notice, and then gently return to the practice. What if I already had this? How would I be moving through the world right now? And here's what you'll discover. The more you practice this, the more your external reality begins to shift. Not because you're controlling it, but because you're no longer resisting it. You're no longer creating obstacles with your own desperation. You're flowing, you're open, you're available. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every single day. He would sit with his thoughts and ask himself, what do I need to remember today? What truth have I forgotten? What am I clinging to that I need to release? And through this daily practice of self-examination, he trained his mind to return, again and again, to what was real. You can do the same. This is not a one-time thing. This is a way of life, a practice of constant return, to presence, to truth, to the recognition that you are already whole. Now I want to share with you some of the hidden teachings of Marcus Aurelius that most people miss. Because when you read the meditations, it's easy to think of them as philosophy. But they're not philosophy in the abstract sense. They're survival tools. They're practices Marcus used to stay sane in the midst of insanity. He wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Think about what that means. When someone hurts you, your instinct is to hurt them back, to get even, to make them pay. But Marcus is saying, don't become like them. Don't let their darkness infect you. The real victory is maintaining your own integrity. This is a form of pretending you already have what you seek. What you seek is peace. What you seek is dignity. What you seek is self-respect. You don't get those things by lowering yourself to someone else's level. You get them by refusing to abandon yourself no matter what others do. He also wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." This is not gratitude in the superficial sense. This is a recognition that life itself is the gift, not what you achieve, not what you acquire, but the simple fact of being here, now, conscious, aware. Most people miss their entire life waiting for it to begin, waiting for the right conditions, waiting to feel ready, waiting to be enough. And then one day they're old and they realize they never actually lived. They were always preparing to live. Marcus is saying, stop preparing. Start living, now, in this moment, with what you have, as you are, because this moment is all you have, and it's enough. Another hidden teaching. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the core of Stoicism. You cannot control the world. You cannot control other people. You cannot even control your own body, which will age and die no matter what you do. But you can control your response. You can control your thoughts. You can control how you interpret what happens. And here's the secret. Your interpretation is everything. Two people can experience the exact same event and have completely different experiences of it. One sees an obstacle, the other sees an opportunity. One sees rejection, the other sees redirection. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. The difference is not in the event, it's in the mind. And the mind can be trained. So pretending you already have what you seek is really about training your mind to interpret your life through the lens of abundance instead of lack, to see what you have instead of what you don't have, to recognize your power instead of your powerlessness. Marcus also wrote something that very few people understand. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. This is profound. He's saying that reality is not objective. It's subjective. It's filtered through your consciousness. And if you change the filter, you change the reality. This doesn't mean reality doesn't exist. It means your experience of reality is always mediated by your perception. And perception can be shifted. So when you're suffering, ask yourself, what am I believing right now that's causing this suffering? And is there another way to see this? Almost always there is. But you have to be willing to look. You have to be willing to question your own mind. Here's one more hidden teaching, and this one is perhaps the most important. The obstacle is the way. Marcus didn't just say this once. He returned to this idea again and again. Because he understood that the things we try to avoid, the pain, the fear, the difficulty, those are not obstacles to growth. They are the path itself. You want confidence? You have to face fear. You want love? You have to risk rejection. You want peace? You have to sit with discomfort. There is no shortcut. There is no way around. There is only through. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop resisting the obstacle and start engaging with it, it stops being an obstacle. It becomes a teacher. It becomes a doorway. It becomes the very thing that transforms you. So pretending you already have what you seek doesn't mean avoiding the work. It means approaching the work from a different state. Not from desperation, not from fear, but from trust. From knowing that you are capable, that you are enough, that you can handle whatever comes. Let's bring this home. Let's talk about how you actually live this in your daily life. Because wisdom that stays in the realm of ideas is useless. It has to be embodied. It has to be lived. Start with your morning. The moment you wake up, before you reach for your phone, before you dive into the demands of the day, take 3 deep breaths. And with each breath, remind yourself, I am already whole. I am already enough. I am already here. This is not a mantra. This is a remembering. You're not trying to convince yourself of something that's not true. You're reminding yourself of what's always been true, but what you've forgotten. Then, as you move through your morning routine, Practice moving as if you already have what you seek. If you're seeking confidence, stand a little taller. Speak a little more clearly. Meet your own eyes in the mirror and hold your gaze. If you're seeking peace, move a little slower. Breathe a little deeper. Let your actions be deliberate instead of rushed. Throughout the day, you will encounter challenges. Someone will criticize you, something will not go according to plan. You will feel fear, doubt, inadequacy. This is normal, this is human. But here's where the practice comes in. Instead of reacting from that feeling, pause. Take a breath. And ask yourself, how would I respond to this if I already had what I'm seeking? If you're seeking respect, you wouldn't react defensively to criticism. You would listen, consider if there's truth in it, and respond thoughtfully. If you're seeking peace, you wouldn't panic when plans change. You would adapt, flex, flow. If you're seeking love, you wouldn't close your heart when someone disappoints you. You would stay open, set boundaries, and keep showing up. This is how you train yourself, not through one big transformative moment, but through thousands of tiny choices throughout the day. Each time you choose to respond from your higher self instead of your wounded self, you strengthen that pathway. You make it easier next time. And here's something important. You will fail. Often. You will forget. You will react. You will fall back into old patterns. This is not a problem. This is part of the process. The practice is not about perfection. It's about return. Every time you notice you've slipped, you simply return. No judgment. No shame. Just return. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action." Your failures are not setbacks. They're information. They're showing you where you're still holding on, where you're still afraid, where you still need to grow. Welcome them. Thank them. And then return to the practice. In the evening, before you sleep, take 10 minutes to reflect. You can journal if that helps. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? Where did I pretend I already had what I seek? Where did I forget? What do I want to remember tomorrow? This evening practice is sacred. It's how you integrate the day. It's how you build self-awareness. It's how you ensure that you're actually growing, not just spinning in circles. And once a week, take a longer period, maybe 30 minutes or an hour, to sit in silence. No phone, no distractions, just you and your breath. And in that silence, ask yourself the big questions. What am I chasing? Why am I chasing it? What do I believe it will give me? And can I give that to myself right now? You might be surprised by what comes up. You might realize you've been chasing something that doesn't actually matter to you. Something you think you should want, but don't actually want. Or you might realize that what you're really seeking is something much simpler than you thought. Something that's already available. One final practice. Share this with others. Not by preaching, not by telling people what to do, but by embodying it. When you show up in your life from a place of wholeness, people notice. They feel it. They're drawn to it. And sometimes, without saying a word, you give them permission to do the same. And when someone asks you, how did you change? What's different about you? Then you can share. But share from experience, not from theory. Tell them what you practice. Tell them what you've learned. Tell them that it's not easy, but it's worth it. This is how wisdom spreads. Not through force, not through dogma, but through lived example, through presence, through the quiet power of someone who has learned to be at peace with themselves. Take a breath with me now. A deep, full breath. All the way in. Hold it at the top. And now release. Let everything go. All the striving, all the grasping, all the worry about whether you're doing it right. Just let it all go. You've been carrying so much for so long. The weight of your own expectations, the weight of other people's judgments, the weight of a world that told you that you had to be more, do more, have more to be worthy. But it was never true. You were always worthy, from the very beginning, before you achieved anything, before you proved anything, before you became anything. You were worthy simply because you are. And the thing you've been seeking? The peace, the love, the confidence, the purpose? It's been here all along, inside you, waiting, patient, quiet. It never left. You just forgot how to access it. Marcus Aurelius, sitting alone in his tent 2,000 years ago, discovered this truth. He discovered that the external world, with all its chaos and uncertainty, could not touch the peace he found within, and he wrote it down, not for us, but for himself, as a reminder, as a practice, as a way to return, again and again, to what was real. And now, his words have found you. In this moment, in this time, and they're inviting you to remember what he remembered, that you are not separate from the peace you seek. You are not separate from the love you desire. You are not separate from the wholeness you crave. You are it. You have always been it. The practice of pretending you already have it is not about deception. It's about removing the veil. It's about seeing clearly what was always there. It's about stepping into the truth of who you are, underneath all the conditioning, all the fear, all the false beliefs. And when you do that, something miraculous happens. Life stops being a struggle. It stops being a race. It stops being something you have to win. It becomes something you get to experience, something you get to participate in, something you get to love. This is the transformation Marcus Aurelius is offering you, not in some distant future, not when you finally achieve enough, but now, today, in this moment. As you are, where you are already whole, you are already enough, you are already here. Everything else is just decoration. Thank you for being here, for listening, for opening yourself to these ideas. If you made it this far, something inside you is ready, ready to let go, ready to remember, ready to return home to yourself. Take what you've heard today and make it yours. Don't just think about it. Live it. Practice it. Embody it. And watch as your entire world transforms, not because the world changed, but because you did. Marcus Aurelius left us a gift, not his empire, not his wealth, but his mind, his practices, his wisdom. And now, that gift is yours. Use it well. Honor it. Share it. And most importantly, live it. Until we meet again, remember, you are already what you seek. You have always been. You just have to pretend long enough to remember.